What's going on, fitness coaches? Welcome to another episode of the Change Lives, Make Money Online Trainer podcast. And in today's episode, we're doing Monday with the Marks. And today's conversation is about parenting.
Today's conversation is about parenting.
Not just parenting, but just, I think kids in general. You know, kids just watch everything you do.
Yeah. And kids are literally like, well, you just said this, but kids are always watching. But not even when you don't know that they're watching, they're listening.
Yeah. So we just had this cool experience where Kirsten and I were filming and had a knock on the door. And so we went to answer the door, and turns out it was one of the kids from our Young and Ambitious mentorship program. So what we ended up doing is like we took, 10 guys, 10 girls through a 12-week mindset and training program and basically like helped them develop healthy habits. And one of the kids knocked on our doors and ended up selling us a landscaping service. It was so cool.
So cute.
And it was just really cool because we like closed the door and we like looked at each other. And like the only reason that guy was knocking on our door at that moment was because Kirsten went to speak at a high school.
Yeah.
And he was one of the kids that ended up seeing Kirsten speak. Kirsten told him about Young and Ambitious.
Yeah.
He came to the gym, went through Young and Ambitious, and now he just told me at his front door that he's like him and his like 17-year-old buddies are celebrating their first $10,000 a month.
It actually happened like this. So I went in to speak at a high school and I thought it was like woman in business type thing. Like I was expecting like a room full of teen girls. And like 10 teenage boys like came walking in, and I looked at what I had written down and I'm like, oh dear, this is so like directed towards females. So I have so many times where I speak and I just feel like I absolutely am so confident. This was not one of those times. But anyways, afterwards, Haley had told me about this young boy who wanted to go to the gym. And I was like, I'll buy his membership for him. Like if he wants to go into the gym. And then Haley's like, better yet, there's a spot with Young and Ambitious open right now. And I was like, if you show up every single time and like, we'll give you this spot at Young and Ambitious. So he ended up joining Young and Ambitious and now is going to be working alongside us. Well, sort of doing some maintenance at the Mock household.
I just think that's really cool. I think it's really cool because like when he told me, he's like, yeah, me and my friends are going to go out for dinner tonight and celebrate our first $10,000 a month. I was just like, how cool is it that kid watched you speak, then got mentored by me for 12 weeks. And now he's making $10,000 a month with his landscaping business.
Yeah. It's the coolest thing. And he's just so sweet. He just comes around, knocks on our door, comes in. So sweet.
You want to know what's funny? So he actually approached me at the gym. Whenever somebody approaches me about wanting to do some work on the house or whatever, I literally am like, yeah, sorry, you got to talk to Kirsten.
Oh my God. We can't go there, but it's just so freaking annoying.
It's so annoying.
Like we'll already have people in place for these things. And he's like, oh my God, yeah, definitely. You can come do that for us. Just like talk to my wife. And so I have people coming up to me and they're like, oh, your husband said I can clean your house. Your husband said this. And I'm like, motherfucker, I already have everything in place.
He's so cute though.
No,
he's so cute.
I agree with him. I agree. Cute. I'm very excited to bring him on board. Like very, very, very excited.
But like this was just like an instant reflection into the idea that like your kids watch everything you do.
Yeah.
And like these kids, because Keenan was surrounded by us and we were talking about how like having your own business is a good idea. Like he's literally knocking on people's doors right now to like sell his landscaping business. And I think that like that is such a cool concept because like I've always wanted to have like a mentor to like when I was a kid, I just wish somebody would have like spoken into me and been like, you can do anything, and like from a young age, there was a couple people in my life that ended up being those people for me. I didn't see them very often, but whenever I saw them, they spoke greatness into me. But like, how cool is it that we get to do that as parents to our kid?
But I also think an important part of the conversation is the like other side of things, because we're talking about kids watching, learning, creating their own businesses and thriving. But what about the parents that are constantly complaining about their kids' shitty behavior without checking themselves first? I literally have a post to write about this week because I think a lot of parents will be like, teen years are so hard, and rightfully so. There's definitely challenging moments with teen years, but I would not say that the teen years have been so hard. I would also say that not only me, but you also have a very like close relationship with Haley. So I think a lot of parents lack responsibility when it comes to their own self-reflection, and they feel like their kids are the problem. But if they were to fix their problems, then their kids' problems would probably resolve as well.
So this is a funny conversation because I think your kid watches what you do and they're either emulating you or they're rebelling against you. Like, I think that's what it is. It's like, because there's only two different types of like when somebody's raised by somebody, you either accept their belief system or you reject it. And I personally believe that as a parent, if I'm leading by example and I'm following my dreams, I'm doing
Mhm.
things that I love to do, I'm on top of my physical well-being, I'm on top of my own mental health, like my kid is going to see that and want to follow that example. Right. And I think that a lot of people, what ends up happening is they end up in jobs, and like they end up in jobs because they need to pay the bills, and they
Mhm.
end up doing things that they think they need to do, not things that they want to do. And they self sacrifice on the things that they actually want to do in life. And as a result, they're not actually happy,
Yeah.
and they're working really hard to get the things done that quote unquote need to get done, the bills that need to get paid, but they're not fulfilled on a day-to-day basis. And if your kid can look at you and see that you're unfulfilled, why would they want to follow in your footsteps?
Mhm.
Of course they're going to rebel.
And I also think there's just a faulty definition of what a good parent looks like. I think a lot of people think that a good parent looks like self-abandoning and like putting your kids' needs first all the time. And so in the process of that, you lose yourself and you lose yourself. You don't just lose yourself, you lose your health. And so the example that you're setting for your kids is what? Don't put yourself first, put everyone else's needs before yours. And so your weight problem, where you've put on weight over the last 40 years because you've neglected your own personal health, then becomes your kids' problem
Mhm.
because now your kids are watching you eat like shit, driving them around, saying that you're going to go to the gym, saying that you're going to lose the weight and not. And that's what they're learning. But it's all in the pursuit of being a good parent,
Mm,
right? So a lot of people have a faulty definition of what a good parent looks like.
mm.
We think that as moms specifically, we have to lose ourselves in the process. And like, I'm going to be so attentive to our new like addition, our unborn child. But I'm also like, we've already talked about this. Like, I still want to go to the gym in the morning. I still want to make sure that I'm prioritizing myself because, like, again, our kid is going to be watching. And so if I lose myself in the pursuit of raising him to be a strong man, but then I become a weak woman, then I'm teaching him the opposite.
Yeah. And I also think like, it's like, this is the thing that I think about when I think about raising a kid is I'm like,
Mhm.
do I want my kid to look up to someone else, or do I want my kid to look up to me?
Oh, that's a good one.
You know,
Yep,
like,
yep,
do I
yep,
want my
yep,
kid to
yep.
like look at, men on TV and be like, wow,
I wish
that's
I could be like
that's a
him.
superhero,
Yes.
or
Yeah.
do I want my kid to look up to me and be like, my dad's a superhero. I want to be like my dad,
Yeah.
And so like I
Yeah.
want to be the example. And I've like, this is something that I've embodied, as a business coach for a personal trainer. It's like I am the example. Like I'm
Mhm.
gonna work harder than all of you guys to show you guys what hard work looks like. And
Mhm.
I also want to be that for our kid. And
Mhm.
that's like, and this is the thing is I think that everybody has, their own way of life. And like this isn't us telling you how to live your life.
Dude, absolutely not.
But
Yeah.
I also believe that like we all have to take responsibility for the fact that like
Mhm.
every single thing that you do, your kid is watching you. And so if you're drinking every single night, your kid is watching you. If you're eating fast food 3 times a week, your kid is watching you. If you're
Mm.
negative and pessimistic and you have fights with your significant other in front of your kid is watching you. And whether or not you'd like to admit it, whether or not you want to take responsibility for it, your kid is going to watch that and they're going to realize that like that is how to live life,
Yeah,
and
100%.
they're going to emulate
Yeah.
that. And
Yeah.
so for me, as a person that likes to take full responsibility for everything that I do, whenever I'm in a situation where I know that there's impressionable minds around me, whether that
Mhm.
be like kids at the gym or, Haley's around or young and
Yeah.
ambitious kids, like I'm not going to do anything that would leave a bad impression.
Mhm.
I don't want to be responsible for an impression that would cause my kid to go down a path that I wouldn't be happy about.
Mhm. I completely agree. And something that like has a quote that I actually talked about this morning was we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. So for example, how I can relate this back to this like conversation that we're having about parenting and leading by example is if you find parenting incredibly hard, you feel overworked, you feel overwhelmed, you wake up in the morning, instant anxiety and stress about the day ahead. When you walk into the world, what are you going to get? You're going to get more anxiety, you're going to get more stress. And it's not because that's the way the world is, it's because it's the way you are. So, in order for us to lead by example for our children, we need to have a positive perspective on ourselves. You couldn't go and lead the Young and Ambitious program and impact these lives and have like one of the kids get a massive opportunity because you could not do that if every day you woke up and you spoke poorly to yourself.
I agree.
And because even if you ran the program, like I can smell phony from a mile away. When I see people's content and I'm like, Chat GPT wrote that, you don't even believe in what you're saying and you don't even know who you are right now. Like I can smell that from a mile away. So you can do everything that you want, but at the end of the day, it comes down to the energy that you feel.
Yep,
So
I
you would
agree.
show up to that program, your insecurities would leak through, and you wouldn't be able to impact in the way that you do impact.
I'll be honest, like the reason I took a while off of running young and ambitious program is because I didn't feel like I was 100% in alignment with myself. And
Mhm.
it's like, how can I teach kids when I'm not 100% in alignment with the person that I am, the person that I'm becoming, and like what I'm providing for the world? And one of my biggest beliefs in life, and like the reason we did it this year is like, I'm on it now. Like, I'm like on my shit. I'm on my health. I'm on my wealth. I'm on my relationships. Like, me and you are good. And so I'm like, now I'm in a position to lead. And one of my biggest beliefs in life is that you cannot express something you do not possess.
Cannot express something you do not
You
possess.
cannot express something you do not possess. And I
Mm.
think that a lot of, and again, this is like, I'm not knocking you. If you're listening to this and this is you, like, I'm not calling you a shitty person, but I just want to shed some awareness because I do believe that you are doing the best job that you can with the information that you have at the time.
So get new information if
So
you're not
get
doing
new
it yet.
information. And like the
Mhm.
information that I'm providing for you is that like every single thing that you are doing, your kid is watching you. And whether or not you would like to take responsibility for that fact, that is 100% true. And I remember when I was growing up, like dealing with like abusive stepdads, dealing with abandonment from my mom, dealing with my family telling me that like we're never going to have enough money and like, getting evicted from my houses. Like I remember what that felt like. And I made a commitment and I promised myself that I was never, ever, ever going to say those words. I was never going to live that life. I was never going to be that person. And I completely rebelled against all the belief system that I was brought up with. But I'm lucky enough to say that I did that. But I also know a lot of people from my past that like didn't, they're still in that mindset.
Yeah, you really do either learn from your past or stay stuck in your past. Like you're either the hero of your own life or you're the victim of your circumstances, right? So, and like if you look at the odds, right? Like, and like how many people actually do the opposite. Like from what I see, most people follow in their family's footsteps.
I
Like
agree.
very few, like, and I think the narrative is changing, but I think a lot of people do like blame their circumstances. And it very much so is normal for people to live in the victim mentality. And like it really does just like they just hand it down, hand it down, hand it down, which is why we have a world full of people that can't see the beauty in the world and they're constantly stuck complaining because that's what they grew up with.
And that's what they grew up
Life
with.
is
And I
hard.
get it. And like, but it's like, okay, so like my situation, abusive stepdads literally got beat until I was 8 years old.
Mhm.
And then like mom kicked me out when I was 8. So it's obviously same timeline. And then if you think about that fact, and then now to be able to live the life that I have now, like driving around my car, living in this house, like with the gym, like
Mhm.
with everything that we currently have right now, how did I go from that to that? Like that's a crazy fucking concept. And I think that a lot of people end up, and this is like, now I'm talking to the
Mhm.
adults of the world, right? So like if you're an adult in this world and you've had some shit happen to you, whether that you dealt with addiction, maybe you dealt with abuse when you were younger, maybe your parents hit you, whatever it was, you end up having these traumas that you never end up dealing with. And like Kirsten said, because you never fully deal with your own shit, because you never get on top of your own stuff, because
Mhm.
you're still blaming your past, you end up without trying to pass down those habits, those character traits, those beliefs to the next generation. And this is the fucked up part, right? This is where I think it's like wild. I think that every generation tries to do a little bit better. So
Mhm.
like, the generation before you, like, I heard justifications from like, I remember when my dad was beating me, he'd be like, "You think this is bad? You should see what my dad did to me."
Yeah.
So it's like, I'm a
Yeah.
little bit better
Yeah.
than my dad. So like, I'm good enough. Like, why is that
Yeah.
the standard that we're living our life by? Like,
Yeah.
you're doing a little bit better of a job than your parents did. And like, that's the
Yeah.
standard. It's like, I want my kid to have the best possible life. And I want to do everything in my power to make sure that my kid has the best possible life. And in order for me to do that, I need to be the very best version of myself.
And I think that how do we track that? How do we measure that? I think a really important question that you can ask yourself on a daily basis is like, am I doing the best I can? And like doing the best you can, like I don't want that to be mistaken for I can't make mistakes and I'm absolutely flawless every single day because as someone who raised a daughter from a young age and had all of the statistics like against me, like statistically, I should not be living this life. Like I should be on welfare, barely scraping by, but I am. But I think at the end of the day, if we ask ourselves like am I proud of the way that I'm showing up and we can answer yes, then it shouldn't just be a yes and then I feel really shitty. It should be a yes and I feel really good. Because if you genuinely feel like you're showing up as the best you can and like for me like I did a lot of things parenting that I didn't realize were really poor parenting like the silent treatment. Like I didn't realize how negatively that could impact Haley and so for me it was like taking responsibility for that but also like I'm not perfect like in the course of the last year, maybe I've only done the silent treatment like once, but it used to be like a daily thing,
Mhm.
right? So I can't beat myself up for making this same mistake like 3, 4, 5 times. but what I can do is get a little bit better. And one thing I can do now is I can say, I'm not a perfect parent. I'm still learning, but I'm actually really proud of the way that I'm parenting. I'm really proud of the way that I'm showing up. Haley has rugby on Wednesdays and I will not miss a game. I'm there every single week. And not because like, oh, that's like a good parent. It's because I genuinely just am like watching her and I like spending time with her. So I feel like now I can go to sleep at night knowing like I'm not a perfect parent, but I'm doing the best I can, where I think a lot of people are just beating themselves up day after day after day while continuing to make the same mistakes with literally zero awareness around the mistakes that they make.
Yeah. And it's like, this is, again, you can't express powers you don't possess.
Yeah.
So like you're trying to be a good parent and you're trying to be good for other people, but you're not being good for yourself. It's impossible for you to be good for other people when you're not being good for self.
Yeah, I agree.
Like if you're not filling up your own cup when you go to other people's cup to fill it up, you're filling up from like a quarter empty cup.
Yeah,
which
you're
is
like giving them it's like squeezing the last little juices
but
out of
it's
a
like,
lemon.
that's not fair to you. And it's not fair to
It's
them.
not fair to them as well.
It's not fair to them. You're giving them a half version of you.
The thing is that though, is that people applaud the moms that are like 300 pounds that have constantly just like been there for their kids and taken them to dance and done all of these things. But I'm like, but look at this person doesn't know who she is.
Yeah.
Not happy. Can't look in the mirror naked. If you can't look in the mirror naked, and like I've been working on this since I'm pregnant and I've been working on it because my body's changing rapidly. But if you can't look in the mirror naked and be like, I love every single inch of myself, how are you supposed to teach your kids to do the same thing? Right. So it's like we applaud parents that like self-abandon. We're giving like, you're such a good mom. You're always doing this and this, but you're not showing up for yourself. And it literally does not matter if the world is clapping and praising your name, because if you don't feel that praise and you don't feel good about yourself, it doesn't matter if a million people are clapping for you. You still feel empty on the inside. Period.
And that is not something I want to pass down to my son.
No, I want like, and I think like, I'm so grateful because I feel like with Haley, it's really been like a lot of like lessons. And I feel like she's just learned so much from where we were to where we are. And she's just grown into the most, I don't think that she's just amazing. Like she is. And that's like, I don't want to toot my own horn, but toot like, and toot hers as well, because she's such a hard worker, but I really don't. So I'm just grateful because I think with how she grew up in the environment she grew up in, there were a lot of things that I'm not proud of. But I think kids are also watching your evolution. They're watching who you become, not who you were, right? So if you feel like right now you're not doing a good job, you're not leading by example, it doesn't mean that you can't change that story starting today.
And that is the invitation.
Yeah, to change the narrative.
The invitation. And this is something that I talk to my clients about today. So I'm going to ask you guys the same question. What do you want your story to be? Like, what do you want your kids to say about you? Like, do you want your kids to look up to you and say, like, I want to be like that?
My mom was always there for me, but she was never there for herself. That's not, I don't know. Like, I would not want that to be my mom's story.
Boom.
Moment. Silence.
That's it.
That's it.
That's all.
That's all.
Hope you guys have the best day of your entire lives. Where do they find you, babe?
You can find me at The Real Kirsten Mark on Instagram and Facebook and YouTube, and go follow me on everything.
You can find me at The Real Brian Mark on Instagram, Real Brian Mark on TikTok, and Brian Mark on YouTube. Peace, love, and protein. Have the best of your entire lives. Talk to you guys in the next episode. Let's go.
Thank you so much for tuning into today's episode. Hopefully you got some value. If you did, and you want to learn more about how me and my team can help you scale your online fitness business to $10,000 a month, DM me 10K on Instagram at The Real Brian Mark for more information, and I'll reach out to you to see if I can help you grow an online coaching business.